Hello everyone. Now what happens when the water flows through a pipe? There are head losses. That is majorly because of friction. Friction between the pipe walls and the water particles and friction within the water particles, what we call as viscosity. Now apart from this there are some other losses as well. So in this particular unit we are going to study about all these losses. Now why is it essential to study about these head losses? Because the hydraulics is all about head. How much power you are getting through turbine depends on how much head your water is having when it impinges your turbine. So it is essential to determine the head, to determine the loss in head and to minimize that loss. Now before going into losses, let us first start with a kind of flow. Now for defining the flow, there was a scientist whose name was Reynolds. He conducted an experiment. What he did was he took a horizontal transparent tube. He took water at constant head and a vertical tube with an injector in it, in which the dye was filled. Now slowly he pushed the water into the horizontal tank. Now as the water was flowing through the horizontal tank, through injector the dye was injected in it. Now initially you can see the filament is a straight linear. Now what does this mean? This means that the fluid particles are not intermixing with each other. And this flow is termed as the laminar flow. Okay, तो laminar flow को हम कैसे define कर सकते हैं? In which the fluid particles do not intermix with each other, and we get a straight filament of the ink, of the dye. Okay, now as the flow velocity increases, you can see there is a random flow. Now as the flow velocity increases further, there is completely dispersion of ink into the fluid. Now this flow is termed as the turbulent flow. And in between there is a zone called as the transition zone, where the fluid starts intermixing with each other, and the velocity at that point is called as a lower critical velocity. And slowly as the velocity increases, the fluid at a point completely mixed with each other, the dye is completely dispersed in the fluid, in the water, and that velocity is called as the higher critical velocity. Okay, so based on this he defined laminar and turbulent flow. So in laminar flow the water layers does not intermix with each other. In turbulent flow there is an intermixing of layer with each other. You can understand this thing with the help of example. If you have seen the soldiers making a parade, you can term it as laminar flow. In a disciplined way, एक straight line में जाता है, disciplined way में जाता है. There is not intermixing between the two rows. Similarly, if you have seen with the crowd in the train, okay, they intermix with each other. That is called as that you can term it as a turbulent flow. And in between there is a zone which we give name as the transition flow. Now there are basically two types of forces involved when the water is flowing through a pipe. The very first force is the inertia force and second is the viscous force. Now if the velocity of the fluid is less, the viscous force obviously is predominant over inertia force, and if the velocity of fluid is more, the inertia force is predominant over the viscous force. And based on this, Reynolds gave a number that is called as the Reynolds number, and that Reynolds number is the ratio of inertia force to viscous force. Okay, so one thing is clear from here. If inertia force is more, if the velocity is more, obviously the inertia force is more as compared to viscous force. So Reynolds number is going to be more for more velocity. And if the velocity of the flow is less, the viscous force is predominant. Viscous force is more than that of the inertia force. So Reynolds number is going to be less. Okay, so this is Reynolds number, the ratio of inertia force to viscous force. Further, it can be defined as Reynolds number, which is denoted by Re, which is given as rho VL by mu, where rho is the density of the fluid, V is the characteristic velocity of the fluid, and L is the characteristic length of the tube, characteristic dimension of the tube. Now this characteristic linear dimension L depends on the kind of pipe through which the fluid is flowing. If we have the circular pipe, this characteristic linear dimension L is taken as D, which is the diameter of the pipe. Okay, so for circular pipe the Reynolds number becomes rho V D by mu. Similarly, if the fluid is flowing through two parallel plates and suppose the B is the distance between the plates, then the L becomes equal to B and Reynolds number Re is equal to rho V B by mu. Similarly, if the fluid is flowing through an open channel and y is suppose the depth of the channel, then this L is equal to y in Reynolds number formula. And if the fluid is flowing through the sphere where d is the diameter of the sphere, then L is taken as small d where d is diameter of the sphere. Okay, so in this way you can determine this Reynolds number for different kind of flow, different kinds of pipes. Okay, and for circular pipe, as I told you, this Re is equal to rho v d by mu, or further you can write it as v into d by nu, where nu is nothing but mu by rho, which is kinematic viscosity. Mu is dynamic viscosity and nu is kinematic viscosity. Okay. Now, this Reynolds number for any circular pipe, if this Reynolds number is less than 2000, we term it as laminar flow. If the Reynolds number is greater than 4000, we term it as turbulent flow. And if the Reynolds number lies between 2000 and 4000, we term it as transition flow. Okay, so below 2000, laminar flow, above 4000, turbulent flow, and in between 2000 and 4000, it is the transition flow. Okay, and you can understand one thing, that 2000 is the lower critical number, lower critical velocity, lower critical Reynolds number, and 4000 is the higher critical Reynolds number for a circular pipe. Okay, similarly for other plates, other path as well. For parallel plates, the lower critical Reynolds number is 1000. For open channel, the lower critical Reynolds number is 500, and for spheres, the lower critical Reynolds number is 1. Now, we have seen the Reynolds number, which is rho v L by mu. Okay, and for circular section, this Reynolds number is rho v d by mu. L is characteristic length, as I told you. Now, what if we are having a non-circular section other than circular section? So, suppose we are having a non-circular section like this of any shape x, y, z. Okay, and we have to determine the Reynolds number for this. Okay, so for this Reynolds number Re is equal to rho v into 4 Rm by mu. Instead of L, you just have to write 4 Rm. Okay. Now, what is this Rm? This Rm is nothing but hydraulic mean radius. Okay, and you can determine this hydraulic mean radius. This is the ratio of wetted area to wetted perimeter. This is A is nothing but wetted area, and P is nothing but wetted perimeter. Okay, now what is this wetted area and wetted perimeter? This is the cross section of the pipe. Suppose we are having this cross section. So, the area of this cross section is nothing but this is wetted area. Okay, and what is wetted perimeter? The total length in which the fluid is in contact with this pipe, that is perimeter, wetted perimeter. Getting this not? Okay, so Rm is nothing but hydraulic mean radius, which is the ratio of wetted area to wetted perimeter. Okay, you can check it for a circular section. For circular section, what will be wetted area? Suppose this section is circular. So, wetted area is nothing but diameter is d, pi by 4 into d square, and wetted perimeter, as we know, is nothing but pi into d. Okay, so this Rm for circular section is nothing but pi by 4 into d square upon pi into d. Pi gets cancelled out, 1 d gets cancelled out, this becomes equal to d by 4, and therefore for circular section Reynolds number is equal to rho v into 4 Rm into d by 4 by mu into 4, rho v into 4 into d by 4 by mu, 4 gets cancelled out, this becomes equal to rho v d by mu. Same formula which we got here. Getting this one? Okay, so for any circular, for any non-circular section, you can determine the Reynolds number by using this formula, rho v 4 Rm by mu. Okay, write down a note. Dynamic similarity: when two geometrically similar vessels of same shape and different sizes with same boundary conditions, example no slip, center line velocity, etc., and same Reynolds number, then fluid flow will be identical. This means for dynamic similar components, the Reynolds number is same. This is very important and this may be useful in some numericals. Next note, the ratio of maximum velocity to mean velocity for a fully developed flow. So, for pipes, the ratio of maximum velocity V max to V mean, this is equal to 2. Okay? And for two parallel plates, and the fluid is flowing between two parallel plates. For this, V max by V mean, this is equal to 1.5. This is again an important thing which is useful in numericals. If you want to determine the mean velocity of flow, so you can determine the maximum velocity of flow, and for if the flow is through pipes, V max by 2 will be V mean, and for two parallel plates, V max by 1.5 is equal to V mean. Getting this now? Now coming to losses. Now as I told you, there are basically two types of losses. First is the major loss and second is the minor loss. And major loss is basically because of friction. That friction may be between the pipe wall and the water, and that may be between the water particles, what we call as viscosity. Okay. Second is the minor loss. Minor loss is because of certain expansion and contraction, and second is because of the losses in various bands, fittings and pipes. Okay, and the contribution of minor loss is actually very less than 5%. Minor loss contributes less than 5%, and the majorly the loss is because of the frictional effects. Now first coming to the major losses or frictional losses. So for laminar flow we have Hagen-Poiseuille formula. Suppose we have to calculate the losses between 2 points 1 and 2, and the pressure at 2 points are P1 and P2. Okay, so loss of pressure head, this formula is valid for laminar flow. As I told you, loss of pressure head P1 minus P2 by rho g, this is equal to HF, loss of pressure head, this is equal to 32 mu VL by rho g d square. Okay, this is the formula for loss of pressure head, P1 minus P2 by rho g, which is HF, which is equal to 32 mu VL by rho g d square. Okay, further the hydraulic gradient will be, what will be hydraulic gradient? So for this, divide this HF by L, so hydraulic gradient HF by L, and obviously this will be unitless. This is the pressure head P1 minus P2 by rho g in terms of head, in terms of meter, and if I divide it by L, it will be unitless. Okay, so this HF by L is nothing but 32 mu into B by rho g d square. This is hydraulic gradient. Okay. Now you can see few important things in this particular formula. The very first thing is this loss of pressure head. This does not depends on the friction coefficient. Anywhere this is not depending upon friction coefficient. That means this loss for a laminar flow, the loss of pressure head is independent of the surface of the pipe material. Getting this not? Independent of the pipe material, independent of the surface of pipe material, because it does not contain any friction coefficient. First thing. Second thing, as the temperature increases, जैसे जैसे temperature increase होगा, what will happen? As the temperature increases, mu will decrease, density will decrease, and as mu decreases, this pressure head loss will decrease. So as the temperature increases, loss of pressure head will decrease. Okay, so instead of flowing water in a normal temperature or instead of flowing a cold water, if we flow a warm water or a hot water, the loss in pressure head will be much less as compared to the cold water. Second thing. Third thing, one more thing you can observe here, this loss in pressure head is inversely proportional to d square, inversely proportional to the area of the pipe material, area of the pipe. Okay, that means as area increases, as d increases or as d square increases, as area of the pipe material increases, the loss of pressure head will decrease. That means more bigger the pipe is, less will be the loss of pressure head. ओके सो इसलिए कभी आप लोगों ने अगर फील्ड्स में देखा होगा, खेतों में देखा होगा, बड़े बड़े पाइप्स लगाए जाते हैं, ऑल्दो पूरा पाइप उसमें पानी जो है वो पूरा पाइप भर के नहीं जाता है. ओके पानी एक लेवल पर ही जाता है, बट स्टिल बड़े बड़े पाइप्स यूज़ किए जाते हैं. क्यों यूज़ किए जाते हैं? वन ऑफ द रीजन इज एज डायमीटर इज मोर, दिस लॉस ऑफ प्रेशर हेड इज लेस. गेटिंग इज नॉट? ओके सो राइट ऑन दीज फ्यू नोट्स. एज टेम्परेचर इंक्रीजेज, म्यू डिक्रीजेज, देयरफॉर loss in pressure head decreases, HF decreases. Second, frictional loss of laminar flow is independent of nature of surface of pipe material. Next, as area increases or diameter increases, frictional loss decreases since HF is inversely proportional to d square. Getting this now? Okay. Now for a given discharge, now we know what discharge q is equal to what, pi by 4 into d square into velocity, area A into V, A is pi by 4 d square into velocity. Okay, so from here you can say this V is equal to 4q by pi d square. Okay, so just put the value of V in this hydraulic gradient or pressure loss. So this HF becomes equal to 32 mu L into 4q by pi d square divided by rho g d square. Okay, or this HF is equal to 128 mu QL by rho into g is nothing but gamma into pi into d raised power 4. Okay, so for given velocity, this HF is equal to 32 mu VL by rho g d square, and if the discharge is given, then this HF is equal to 128 mu QL by gamma pi into d raised power 4. Getting this or not? Okay, so for a given velocity, HF is inversely proportional to d square, and for a given discharge, HF is inversely proportional to d raised power 4. Now coming to the turbulent flow. Okay, so for turbulent flow, we use this Darcy-Weisbach equation, which says loss in pressure head HF is equal to FLV square by d into 2g. Okay, where this F is nothing but Darcy friction coefficient, and this F can be further written as 4 into F dash, where F dash is coefficient of friction. Okay, and in terms of discharge, this HF is equal to 8F LQ square by pi square g d raised power 5. This is for a given discharge. This formula is for given discharge. HF is equal to 8F LQ square divided by pi square g d raised power 5. Getting this now? Okay, so you can see one thing here, write down a note. For turbulent flow, HF is independent of temperature. Okay, so you cannot see in this formula, you cannot see mu here. That means this is independent of temperature. Second, HF depends on nature of surface. Okay, you can see the friction coefficient, Darcy friction coefficient, which is further dependent upon coefficient of friction. This means that that this loss in pressure head is dependent on the pipe material, nature of surface. Next, as area increases, frictional loss decreases. Same thing, the diameter, as diameter increases, HF decreases, as HF is inversely proportional to d. Next, for a given discharge, this HF is inversely proportional to d raised power 5. Okay, and the same formula can be used for a laminar flow as well. So for laminar flow, this friction coefficient is taken as 64 by Re. Okay, so just put this F as 64 by Re. Okay, and directly you can use this equation for laminar flow as well. Getting this or not? Okay. Now next type of losses are the minor losses. Okay, so in this first is the loss due to sudden expansion. So we have a pipe of diameter d1 which is suddenly expanded to the pipe of diameter d2. Okay, and this is the normal flow of water, and because of this sudden expansion there will be eddies, and because of those eddies there will be losses. We will study about those losses. Now first thing, we have different piezometers at different point of this pipe. These are 4 piezometers we have put, and piezometer obviously will give us the piezometric head. And what is piezometric head? Piezometric head is nothing but P by gamma plus Z. That means the pressure head plus potential head is nothing but the piezometric head. So we are having P by gamma plus Z in this reading. Okay, and if we join this line of piezometric head, we will get HGL, which is nothing but hydraulic gradient line. Okay, hydraulic gradient line. And if the pipe is horizontal, as in this case, we have the Z is same for all. That means this hydraulic gradient line can also be called as the pressure line. Okay, because in this case we are just having P by gamma and Z is same for all. Okay, so hydraulic gradient line for horizontal pipe may also be called as the pressure line. First things. Okay, so we have joined this and we got the horizontal line. Hydraulic gradient line. Okay, now next thing next line is of the total energy line. Okay, so we have the piezometric head here, and if I add velocity head in this, I will be having the total head. Okay, so this is actually the imaginary line. Piezometric line is actually visible. This line is actually imaginary. If I add the velocity head to this piezometric head, I will get the total energy line or total head. Velocity head plus piezometric head is total head, and if I join all the line of total head, I will get total energy line, what we call as TEL. I will explain you again. We have piezometers. Piezometer will give us piezometric head, प्रेशर हेड प्लस पोटेंशियल हेड इस पीजोमेट्रिक हेड. ओके, तो यहाँ पर हमको मिल रहा है पीजोमेट्रिक हेड. इसको हमने ज्वाइन किया तो जो लाइन मिली डेट इज हाइड्रोलिक ग्रेडियंट लाइन. ओके, और अगर ये पाइप हॉरिजॉन्टल है, दैट मीन्स इफ Z इज सेम देन दिस हाइड्रोलिक ग्रेडियंट लाइन इज ऑल्सो कॉल्ड एज अ प्रेशर लाइन. फर्स्ट थिंग. ओके, now total energy includes the total head includes piezometric head plus velocity head. So if I add velocity head to this, I will get the total energy line. Total head और उसकी जो line मिलेगी that is nothing but the total energy line. Okay, so one thing you can see here, because obviously this total energy line will always, total head will always decrease because the flow is always from high head to low head. Okay, so you can see here the total head is continuously decreasing. Okay, here the loss in head is more. I will tell you the reason why this loss in head is more at this particular point. Okay, now coming to hydraulic gradient line, this hydraulic gradient line is basically depends on pressure because the Z is same for all the points, so it basically depends on pressure. Okay, and as the area increases, velocity decreases and pressure increases. Okay, so initially when the area was same, the head obviously was decreasing continuously, but at this particular point the area suddenly increased and the head then increases. Getting this or not? तो हाइड्रोलिक ग्रेडियंट लाइन जो प्रेशर हेड है वो भले इंक्रीज होगा, बट अल्टीमेटली टोटल एनर्जी लाइन जो है वो टोटल हेड जो है वो डिक्रीज ही होगा, बिकॉज ऑलवेज हाई हेड टू लो हेड ही फ्लो होगा. हेड कंटिन्यूसली लॉस होगा और कंटिन्यूसली डिक्रीज होगा. ओके, बट बिकॉज यहाँ पर एरिया इंक्रीज हुआ है तो प्रेशर हेड इसका इंक्रीज हो गया. ओके, नाउ वन मोर क्वेश्चन अराइजेस कि यहाँ पर क्यों इतना कम हो रहा है? बिकॉज ऑफ दिस एडीज. ओके, तो जो फ्लो का जो नॉर्मल डायरेक्शन है दैट इज लाइक दिस. ओके, और यहाँ जो वैक्यूम बचा है इसको फिल करने के लिए यहाँ पर एडीज आएंगे, एंड दिस एडीज आर नथिंग बट लॉस ऑफ एनर्जी. एडीज एक तरह से लॉस ऑफ एनर्जी है, तो यहाँ पर ज़्यादा लॉस हो रहा है इसलिए यहाँ पर एक बार का कम हो रहा है, एंड देन दिस इज इंक्रीजिंग कंटिन्यूसली. सेम थिंग हियर, यहाँ जो सडन ड्रॉप देख रहे हैं दैट इज बिकॉज ऑफ दिस एडीज. Okay, so whenever there is sudden expansion because of this eddies, there is loss in head. Okay, now there are few important points I will tell you about this particular diagram, and I will explain you each and every point. The very first thing, in a horizontal pipe, HGL is also called as the pressure line. As I told you, if the pipe is horizontal, then obviously the hydraulic gradient line is also the pressure line. The piezometric head is also called as the pressure head. Next, HGL will always fall in the direction of flow if pipe diameter is constant. Now, if the pipe diameter is constant, obviously that this hydraulic gradient line will always fall because the pressure is continuously decreasing because of loss. So this hydraulic gradient line will drop continuously. Now, next, in case pipe diameter changes, HGL may rise or fall in the direction of flow. So as we have seen, if the pipe diameter is increasing, HGL is rising, and if the pipe diameter decreases, HGL will decrease. Next, total energy level is an imaginary line above HGL with an ordinate of corresponding velocity head. Okay, total energy, what is total energy level? Total energy level, that is the imaginary level. Imaginary level means you cannot physically see it from your eyes. You can see the piezometric level. Okay, but when you add the velocity head in the piezometric head, you get total head, and the line corresponding to that total head is nothing but the total energy level. Okay, so that is an imaginary line above HGL with an ordinate corresponding to the velocity head. Next, total energy level will always fall in the direction of flow irrespective of the pipe diameter. As I told you that this total energy level will always flow in the diameter of in the direction of flow, because water always flows from high head to low head. Next, whenever the pumps are installed, total energy level rise in the direction of flow. Now, what is the function of a pump? The pump increases the head. Okay, so head is increasing, therefore the total energy level is increased. Okay, now applying Bernoulli's equation in this. Now what does Bernoulli say? Total energy P1 by gamma plus Z1 plus V1 square by 2G is equal to P2 by gamma plus Z2 plus V2 square by 2G. Now apart from this energy, there are the loss due to this sudden expansion. Suppose that loss is HL. So this HL will be added here. Getting this or not? Okay, and from here we will get the loss due to sudden expansion HL, which is equal to, from solving this we will get what? V1 minus V2 whole square by 2G. This is loss due to sudden expansion, V1 minus V2 whole square by 2G. Now from this we can calculate exit loss. Now what will be exit loss? Suppose the water is flowing through a pipe and finally it is dumped into the water tank. Okay, so suppose the area, the diameter here is D1 and diameter D2 tends to infinity. Okay, as area is increased suddenly, it is flown into a river or into a big reservoir, you can call. Okay, so what will be the exit loss? So this exit loss HL is equal to what? V1 square by 2G into 1 minus A1 by A2 whole square. Okay, since A2 tends to infinity, so this A1 by A2 is nothing but 0, 1 minus 0 is 1, and this loss is equal to V1 square by 2G. That's it. This is the exit loss. So whenever a pipe, the water is flowing through a pipe and is dumped into a big reservoir or in suppose a river, so the exit loss is nothing but V1 square by 2G. Getting this not? And this V1 square by 2G is nothing but kinetic energy per unit weight. Okay, you can call it as kinetic energy per unit weight. What is kinetic energy? Half mv square divided by weight is nothing but m into g. This gets cancelled out. So this is V square by 2G. Okay, so this V1 square by 2G is nothing but kinetic energy per unit weight. Getting this now? Okay. Now next is the loss due to sudden contraction. Okay, so same thing here. Now we are the flow is the flow of water is from the bigger diameter to smaller diameter. Okay, and as the flow is from bigger to smaller diameter, there will be a vena contracta. You can see like this, and that suppose the vena contracta area is suppose AC. This is hydraulic gradient line, and because of this vena contracta there will be a loss in energy, and this is the total energy line. Getting this or not? Okay, now this HL is nothing but the loss due to this sudden contraction, and this HL is equal to KL into V2 square by 2G. This is loss due to sudden contraction. Okay, where KL is loss coefficient, which is equal to A2 by AC minus 1 whole square. Okay, or you can say 1 by CC minus 1 whole square, where CC is AC by A2. Okay, where AC is, as I told you, area of cross section of vena contracta, and CC is coefficient of contraction. Which is equal to AC by A2. Getting this? So this is the loss due to sudden contraction. Okay, and based on this we can determine entry loss, as we determined exit loss in previous case. We can determine the entry loss now. Now these are different entries in the pipes. Okay, you can see here we will have the different loss coefficients in all these different cases. Here the loss coefficient KL is equal to 0, like this. Okay, where this R, the radius this R should be greater than 0.14 of D. Okay, here the loss coefficient KL is equal to 0.5, and here the loss coefficient KL is equal to 1. Okay, and based on this we can determine the entry loss. So here the entry loss HL will be equal to 0, KL V square by 2. Here the loss coefficient HL will be equal to 0.5, velocity is V here, V square by 2G, and here the loss coefficient HL will be equal to just 1 into V square by 2G. That's it. Getting this now? Okay, and as we know that the most commonly used case is this one. Okay, so if nothing is given, we can consider this, and we can take this HL as 0.5 V square by 2G. Clear or not? Okay, so we will take one example. Suppose we have two different tanks and those are connected with the pipe like this, and we have to calculate the entry and exit loss for the pipe. Okay, remember one thing, we have to calculate entry and exit loss for the pipe. That means the entry is from here, this is the entry point, and the exit is from here, this is the exit point. Okay, so entry loss, as I told you, this HL is equal to 0.5 into V square by 2G, where V is the velocity with which the fluid is flowing here. Okay, and suppose the exit velocity, now the second thing is the exit loss. Now what will be exit loss? This is nothing but V1 minus V2 whole square by 2G. Okay, and what will be V2 now? The V1 is nothing but V, as I told you, and what is V2? V2, since A1 V1 is equal to A2 V2. Okay, and V2 by V1 is equal to A1 by A2. Okay, and what is A2? A2 is nothing but infinite. This is sufficiently large reservoir, that means A2 tends to infinite, and since A2 tends to infinite, therefore V2 tends to 0. Getting this or not? Okay, so V1 is nothing but V, V2 is nothing but 0. So this exit loss HL is equal to V1 square by 2G, that's it, or V square by 2G. Getting this now? Okay. Okay. Now there are few more losses, as I told you. First is loss due to bends, in pipe. So this loss HB is nothing but KB into V square by 2G, where KB is bend coefficient. Getting this now? Similarly, loss due to fittings, we have different fittings in the pipes. So this loss due to fittings HF is equal to KF into V square by 2G, where KF is fitting coefficient and V is velocity of flow. That's it. Okay, so these are different losses, major losses and minor losses, and as I told you, the losses are majorly because of friction, and these minor losses contributes less than 5% in the total losses. Getting this not? Okay, next is pipes in series. Now we have this pipes in series, three different pipes of diameter D1, D2 respectively, and the head losses in these three pipes are HF1, HF2 and HF3 respectively. Okay, we have to create an equivalent pipe of out of this. Now what is an equivalent pipe? If I take a pipe of constant diameter, suppose D is the diameter of the equivalent pipe, such that the discharge is same as that in this original pipe, also the head loss is same, is equal to the total head loss of this pipe. So such a pipe is called as the equivalent pipe, in which the discharge is same, the pipe of constant diameter in which the total discharge is same and total head loss is same. Okay, so what happens in a pipe of pipe, if the pipes are connected in series, total discharge obviously will be same throughout. The discharge is Q, that is total Q is equal to Q1, which is equal to Q2, which is equal to Q3, first thing. Second thing, total head loss HF is equal to HF1 plus HF2 plus HF3. Now HF we have already determined as 8 FLQ square upon pi square G d raised power 5. Okay, so this is 8 FLQ square upon pi square G d raised power 5 is equal to 8 F1 L1 Q square or Q1 square upon pi square G d1 raised power 5 plus 8 F2 L2 Q2 square upon pi square G d2 raised power 5 plus 8 F3 L3 Q3 square upon pi square G d3 raised power 5. Okay, so this 8 pi square G gets cancelled out. First thing, Getting this now? Okay. Similarly, this Q is equal to Q1 is equal to Q2 is equal to Q3. So this Q will also be cancelled out. And finally, we will get what? FL by d raised power phi is equal to F1 L1 by d1 raised power phi plus F2 L2 by d2 raised power phi plus F3 L3 by d3 raised power phi. Okay, where L is the equivalent diameter, L here is equivalent length of equivalent pipe, and D is diameter of equivalent pipe. Getting this not? Okay. Further, if friction factor is same, so if friction factor is same, that is F is equal to F1 is equal to F2 is equal to F3. So this F will get cancelled out, and you will get what? L by d raised power phi is equal to L1 by d1 raised power phi plus L2 by d2 raised power phi plus L3 by d3 raised power phi. Clear or not? Okay. So we will solve one question related to this pipes in series. The question says diameter of pipe is suddenly doubled as shown. The equivalent diameter of pipe is. Okay. So we have the pipe divided in two parts of length L and L. The diameter is suddenly doubled from D to 2D. We have to determine the equivalent length of the pipe. Okay. So how can we determine the equivalent diameter of the pipe? So how can we determine the equivalent diameter of the pipe? So we know what, for series LE by DE raised power phi is equal to L1 by D1 raised power phi plus L2 by D2 raised power phi. Just now we have determined. Okay. Now here we can see that this total LE is equal to L1 plus L2, which is equal to 2L. Okay. So from here this 2L by D raised power phi is equal to L by D1 raised power phi plus L by D2 raised power phi. This L gets cancelled out. Okay. So from here we will get what? 2 by DE raised power phi is equal to 1 by D raised power phi plus 1 by 2D raised power phi, and on solving this you will get equivalent diameter DE is equal to 1.14 of D. That's it. Okay. So you can determine, in this way you can determine the equivalent diameter of any pipes which are connected in series. First thing. Okay. Now coming to the pipes in parallel. Okay. So next is pipes in parallel. So we have three different pipes of diameter D1, D2 and D3 kept in parallel. Okay. So what will happen to the discharge if Q amount of discharge is passed through this? This will be divided among these three pipes as Q1, Q2 and Q3. Okay, such that this total Q will be equal to Q1 plus Q2 plus Q3. First thing. Okay, second thing, the discharge is complete. The total discharge is equal to sum of the individual discharges of the pipe for the pipes in parallel. Second thing, total head loss will be same. Whatever head loss is here, same head loss will be here and same head loss will be here. That means total HF is equal to HF1 plus HF2 plus HF1, which is equal to HF2, which is also equal to HF3. Head loss is same, discharge is distributed. Getting this not? Okay. So just put the values. So we know what, HF is equal to 8 FLQ square upon pi square G D raised power phi, or from here you can say this Q is equal to under root of, this will be HF into pi square G D raised power phi upon 8 FL. Okay. And we know what, Q is equal to Q1 plus Q2 plus Q3 and so on if you are more pipes then. Okay. So this will be equal to, now here this HF is same, HF is same, HF is equal to HF1 is equal to HF2 is equal to HF3. So this HF will be cancelled out, pi square is a constant, this will be cancelled out, G will be cancelled out. Okay. So left is D, and again 8 will also be cancelled out. Okay. So left will be under root of D raised power phi upon FL is equal to under root of D1 raised power phi upon F1 L1 plus under root of D2 raised power phi upon F2 L2 plus d3 raised power 5 upon f3 L3. Okay, again because these are pipes in series, so length is also same, so length will also be cancelled out. Okay, so finally we get this is equivalent diameter. Okay, so from here we can determine the equivalent diameter. Further, if f is same, if all the pipes are of same material, f will be same. Okay, so if f is same, then this will be equal to under root of d raised power 5 is equal to under root of d1 raised power 5 plus under root of d2 raised power 5 plus under root of d3 raised power 5 plus up to n number of pipes. Okay, getting this or not? Okay, now further one more condition we can apply, that if suppose if d1 is equal to d2 is equal to d3, which is equal to suppose small d, if the diameter of all the pipes are same, okay, then what will happen? So this will be equal to under root of d raised power 5 is equal to n into under root of small d raised power 5. Getting this or not? Okay, or you can say de raised power 5 by 2 is equal to n into d raised power 5 by 2. Okay, so from here you can determine small d, the diameter of individual pipe, which is equal to de raised power 5 by 2 divided by n raised power, sorry, de divided by n raised power 2 by 5. Getting this? So from here we can determine the individual diameter small d. Clear or not? Okay, so now we will solve one question related to this pipes in parallel. Now the question says, as per design 40 cm diameter is required, as it is not available in the market. 25 cm pipes are used as parallel connection. The number of parallel pipes required are. Okay, so the required diameter, that means the equivalent diameter is 40 cm, but because this is not available due to some reason, so the available is 25 cm diameter pipe. Okay, so how many pipes we will have to put in parallel so as to serve the same purpose which would have been served by the 40 cm diameter pipe. Okay, so what can we do? So here this small d, as we know, is equal to capital DE upon n raised power 2 by 5, as I told you. Okay, so this is 25 is equal to 40 divided by n raised power 2 by 5. From here you can calculate the value of n. This is equal to 3.2 or equal to 4. That means 4 pipes should be connected in parallel so that it has to serve the purpose of 40 cm diameter pipe. Getting this now? Okay. Okay, so we will solve one question. A crude oil of viscosity 0.97 poise and relative density 0.9 is flowing through a horizontal pipe of diameter 100 mm and length 10 meter. Calculate difference of pressure at two ends of the pipe if 100 kg of oil is collected in the tank in 30 seconds. Okay, so what is given in the question? A crude oil of viscosity is given as 0.97 poise. Okay, so in terms of Newton second per meter square, we know the conversion. Just divided by 10, you will get 0.097 Newton second per meter square. Okay, this is viscosity given. Next is relative density is given as 0.9. So density will be equal to 0.9 into 1000, which is equal to 900 kg per meter cube. Getting this? Flowing through a horizontal pipe of diameter of pipe is given as 100 mm and length of the pipe is given as 10 meter. We have to calculate difference in pressure at two ends of the pipe if 100 kg is collected in the tank in 30 seconds. Difference of pressure. That means you have to determine first the pressure head. Okay, and for that first you will have to find whether the flow is a laminar flow or a turbulent flow, and for that you have to determine what? Reynolds number. So first step would be to determine the Reynolds number. So how can we determine the Reynolds number now? So Re is equal to what? Rho VL by mu. Now just check what is already provided in the question and what we have to determine. So we have the value of rho, we have the value of L, we have the value of mu. The only thing to be determined is V. Okay, now how can we determine this the value of V? So we know what velocity V is equal to total discharge divided by area, SQ is equal to A into V. Okay, so from here we can determine velocity. Now here one more thing, we have to determine area here. discharge here. So how can we determine this discharge? So we know what m is equal to mass is equal to volume into density, discharge into density. Getting this not? Okay, or you can say this q is equal to m by rho. Getting this? Okay, so m is given how much? 100 kg of oil is collected in tank in 10 seconds. Okay, so this is actually mass flow rate, because this is discharge, not exactly the volume, this is discharge, meter cube per second. Okay, so this should be mass flow rate. And what is mass flow rate given? 100 kg is collected in 30 seconds divided by density we have calculated as 900. So from here we get the value of this q, which is 0.0037 meter cube per second. Getting this one? Okay, so just put the value of this q, you will get the value of v. So this will be 0.0037 divided by area, cross section area. Diameter is given as 100, so cross section area is pi by 4 into d square. So from here you get this as 0.471 meter per second. This is velocity. Getting this now? Okay, now once you have the velocity, you can determine the Reynolds number. So this Reynolds number Re is equal to rho v L by mu. Just put the value. So rho is 900 into 0.471 into length is given as 10 meter divided by mu we have calculated as 0.097. Okay, so from here we get this Reynolds number as 436.91. Okay, and from this you can determine the type of flow. So 436, since this Reynolds number is less than 2000, therefore this is a laminar flow. Getting this now? Okay, and once you know that the flow is laminar, you can now apply Hagen-Poiseuille formula. Now what this formula says? P1 minus P2 by rho g is equal to 32 mu VL by rho g into d square. Okay, this we have already studied. We have to determine the pressure difference. So this rho g gets cancelled out here. 32 mu VL by d square. Just put the value. So this is 32 into mu is 0.97. V we have determined as 0.471. Length is 10 meter divided by d is 100 mm or 0.1 meter square. Getting this? So from here you will get this pressure difference P1 minus P2 is equal to 1462.28 Newton per meter square. Answer. That's it. Clear or not?